There comes a point in midlife when you realize some relationships still have history, but no longer have the same sense of home. You may care about certain people, love them even, and still leave interactions feeling tight in your chest, tired in your body, or strangely less like yourself. Welcome to Rooted Insights, a podcast for women in their second season of life who spent years caring for everyone else. Kids, partners, work, households, holding it all together while quietly putting your own needs on the back burner. If you now find yourself wondering, what's next for me? What do I really want for my life now? And how do I start prioritizing myself without dropping everything else? You're in the right place. Hi, I'm Dr. Kelley, a health and well-being specialist and mind-body expert. And here we blend grounded, science-informed practices into everyday life so we can better support our hardworking nervous systems, emotional health, and authentic selves, especially in this powerful mid-season of life. In recent episodes, we've talked about loss and grief and about seeing midlife transitions, divorce, career shifts, kids leaving home, and identity changes as initiations, not failures. Today, we're going to bring that lens into one of the most tender parts of this season, friendships and community. We'll explore why many mid-season women quietly outgrow certain relationships, why your nervous system reacts so strongly to some people and settles with others, and how to gently redesign your circle so that whoever walks with you now actually supports the woman you're becoming. Take a slow inhale and a slightly longer exhale, and you might keep one friendship or group in mind as you listen, the one you feel both guilty and drained by, or the one your whole body softens around, whether it's a new friendship or an old one. Let's start with a pattern I hear often in mid-season women. There's often a group of people you've known for years, the women who've been your people, maybe from your children's younger years, your own childhood, a former job, your neighborhood, a church, volunteer work, sports teams, or a chapter of life that once held you together. You spent time sharing school events, birthday parties, late-night venting about partners and work, and you've seen each other through everything. For a long time, those relationships made sense. They were built around shared schedules, shared burdens, shared jokes, shared survival. But in the last few years, something has shifted. Some gatherings still revolve around comparison, busyness, gossip, dieting, appearances, or reliving old versions of yourself. Some of the group still loves to gather around wine and talk about other people's drama. The group chat is active every day, but when certain names pop up on your phone, your body braces a little. You notice that after some get-togethers, you feel more anxious and depleted, not nourished. Your nervous system feels amped up, as if you were subtly performing, defending, or holding your breath, or holding your tongue the whole time. At the same time, another kind of connection may be appearing. Maybe it's one woman you talk with on walks. Maybe it's a quieter friend, a support group, a creative circle, or someone you only recently met but with whom the conversations feel slower, more honest, and more real. You honestly talk about sleep, hormones, caregiving, burnout, longing for more creative time, meaning, and what this season is actually asking of you. After time with that person or space, you feel calmer, more grounded, more at peace, more seen, and more like yourself. And this is where it gets tricky. Your body may be clearly telling you, this friendship feels off now, and that relationship feels like a gentle exhale, but your mind starts telling old stories. We've been friends for 20 years. What kind of person pulls away from that when they haven't really done anything wrong? Or they were there for me in another season. I owe them. Or is there something wrong with me that I want quieter, deeper, more honest conversations now? Maybe one day they'll change in the same direction I'm moving. If you've ever felt this tension between loyalty to who walked with you then and the pull toward who feels right to walk with you now, you are not alone. Today, we're going to explore what's happening in your nervous system, your energy, and your identity in moments like this, and how to navigate these shifts with more honesty and care. From a nervous system perspective, relationships are not just emotional, they're physiological. Your body is constantly reading the people around you, their facial expressions, tone of voice, pacing, topics, emotional congruence, and even what goes unsaid, those unspoken expectations, and then adjusting your internal state to match in response. This is part of what we call co-regulation, which is when your social brain is constantly scanning for cues of safety or stress, often before your conscious mind can explain what it's picking up. A few simple pieces to understand: the ventral vagal part of your nervous system supports feelings of safety and social engagement. When you're with someone who feels safe, seen, and emotionally consistent, your breath and heart rate tend to settle, your emotions soften, and thinking and creativity come back online. The sympathetic system, your fight or flight, revs up when you sense criticism, competition, unresolved tension, or constant drama. Your jaw or shoulders tense, your heart rate rises, and you may feel more reactive or on edge even if nothing of consequence actually happened. And then there's the dorsal vagal system. This is your shutdown response, which can show up when you feel chronically unseen, talked over, or misattuned. You might go numb, zone out, feel flat, or want to disappear. Your body often knows before your mind whether a space is good for you. That doesn't mean every uncomfortable moment is a red flag, but repeated dysregulation is useful information. One helpful clarification here is that your social brain that is always scanning for cues of safety or threat is often referred to by researchers as neuroception. The nervous system's automatic, below-conscious way of detecting whether a person or environment feels safe enough to relax into. That means you may register, "This person drains me," or "I can finally exhale here," before you can logically explain why. In midlife, this becomes especially important because you've accumulated years of invisible emotional labor, holding space, caretaking, smoothing things over, or making others comfortable. Also during midlife, your stress load is often higher. Work, aging parents, teens or adult kids, health changes, grief, identity shifts. Your nervous system has less spare capacity for relationships that chronically dysregulate you. And it's also important because you may be asking deeper questions about meaning, authenticity, and how you actually want to spend your limited time and energy. So when longtime friendships or communities that once fit now leave you feeling drained, and newer or different connections feel more like home, it's not necessarily a sign you're fickle or ungrateful. It can be a sign that your social nervous system is updating to match the woman you're becoming now in this new season of your life. One more science-based piece that can be helpful here. Supportive social connection is linked with lower stress reactivity, better emotional regulation, and even better long-term health outcomes. While chronic loneliness, which can be with the person present who doesn't see you, or feeling constantly alone, or repeatedly stressful social ties, can increase distress and strain the body. So this isn't just about preference, it's also about health. So let's talk about a gentle way of looking at your friendships and communities through a nervous system and energy lens, rather than through guilt or shoulds. I like to think in red, amber, and green. Green light people and spaces have you feeling more regulated and like yourself before, during, or after time with them. Your body may also feel softer, your breath deeper, your laughter more spontaneous and genuine. And you can be honest, not perfect, and still feel basically safe. Then there's amber light people and spaces. There can be mixed feelings. Some conversations feel good, some leave you a bit unsettled. You may need clearer boundaries around topics, timing, frequency, or duration. And then there's red light people and spaces. Those are where you constantly feel anxious, smaller, on edge, judged, or responsible for managing another person's reactions. These are where your body tightens, just seeing their name on your phone or thinking about the next gathering where they'll be. So taking into consideration these three options of green light people and spaces, amber light people and spaces, and red light people and spaces, you might want to do a midlife friendship audit. A simple way to begin this audit is to ask yourself honestly for each person or group you spend meaningful time with. First, how does my body feel before I see them? Then, how do I feel during? And how do I feel after? You don't need to label anyone as good or bad. You're simply noticing the patterns in your own system and body. It's also important to name that in midlife that some friendships were built around earlier roles, school events, kid activities, shared workplace stress, and caregiving seasons. When those roles shift, the friendship sometimes needs to evolve or gently loosen or be completely redefined if they're going to continue. And some communities were built around versions of yourself that overgave, overperformed, were more about survival or people-pleased. As you heal those patterns and those roles shift, those relationships may feel misaligned unless they can adjust too. This isn't about abruptly cutting people off. It's about letting your present-day nervous system and energy have a say and a vote in who has front row seats in your life and who doesn't. So here's a few practical ways to begin redesigning your friendships and community with more intention and less guilt. Practice number 1, the 3-person reflection. Choose 3 people in your life. Someone who feels very green in your body, someone who feels clearly red, and someone who feels more amber or mixed. For each one, jot down or think through the following considerations. First, when I'm with them, my body feels what? Tight, calm, braced, open, exhausted, energized, or light. And the unspoken role I play in this relationship is the fixer, the listener, the entertainer, the equal, the truth teller, or the one who shrinks. And then what happens in my body after I leave? Do I feel more settled, more energized, more inspired, more activated, more frustrated or irritated, or more shut down? Then ask, what's one small way I can honor what my body knows here? That might look like for Green reaching out more often or making intentional time with them. For Amber, maybe setting a gentle boundary, shorter visits, different topics, a pause between texts, or saying, I can't talk about that tonight. I've reached my capacity for today or this week. And then for Red, gradually reducing contact, declining some invitations, or if appropriate and comfortable, having a real conversation about how you've been feeling. Practice number 2, 1 boundary, 1 experiment. Healthy friendships and communities can usually tolerate truth plus care, and when they can't, that often tells you something important about how much space there really is for your full self in that relationship. So choose 1 relationship where you're willing to experiment with a small boundary or truth-telling moment. For example, I love seeing you, and I've noticed that when we only talk about other people, I leave feeling drained. Can we add in some other topics too? Or, I care about what you're going through, and I also notice I'm really tired today. I can listen for about 15 minutes, but then I'm going to need to rest. Or, I'm cutting back on evening events right now to support my health and well-being, so I'm going to say no to this one, but I'd love a coffee next week instead. Your nervous system gets to experience, I can honor my limits, and the relationship doesn't necessarily implode. And if it does implode, that's information too. Every time you practice a boundary and survive it, you help your brain update old predictions that truth equals danger or rejection. That's neuroplasticity in relationship form. Practice number 3, inviting in new, aligned connections. It's one thing to step back from draining dynamics. It's another to actually call in friendships and community that support who you are now. Here's a few simple prompts. First, what kind of conversations does my body relax into these days? And what kinds of spaces feel more regulating? Nature walks, book clubs, creative classes, support groups, faith communities, or online circles. Then choose 1 experiment. Attend 1 event or group that matches that energy. Invite 1 person who feels green or green curious for a walk, tea, or a phone call. And join or create a tiny online space, a text thread, a private group, a check-in circle, for honest midlife conversations rather than performance. You're not trying to replace all your friendships overnight. You're planting seeds for a circle that fits the woman you're becoming now. And practice number 4, a 60-second pre and post contact body check. Before or after time with someone, pause for 60 seconds and notice. Is my breath shallow or easy? Are my jaw, shoulders, belly, or chest tight? Do I feel more like myself, less like myself, or like I just had to perform? Do I want more contact, less contact, or a different kind of contact with this person? This kind of brief interoceptive check-in helps bring your body's data into awareness before your old loyalty patterns take over. As we close, you might bring these 3 questions into your journal, a walk, or a quiet shower. Who in my life feels like an exhale, where my body drops a little and I feel more like myself? And where am I staying out of obligation, guilt, or habit, even though my nervous system pays the price every single time? And what's one small, kind step I'm willing to take this week to honor what my body knows about who walks with me now? You don't need to make dramatic declarations or end relationships in one day. Every small boundary, every honest conversation, every choice to lean toward regulation and authenticity is you quietly redesigning your community to support this new season of your life. If this conversation helped you feel a little more seen in your changing friendships, or gave you language for why some spaces no longer feel right, I'd love for you to keep walking with me here on Rooted Insights. Follow, like, and subscribe to the podcast, and if it feels supportive, share this episode with another mid-season woman looking for grounded, science-informed, and heart-centered conversations. I'd also love to hear from you when it feels right. Who feels like green light energy in your life right now? And what's one experiment you're willing to try? One boundary, one invitation, one new space to support the community you want around you in this next chapter. Your honesty might be exactly what another woman needs to remember she's allowed to update her circle as she grows. Remember, you're not behind. You're in a new season of your life, and your nervous system, your heart, and your inner compass are all trying to guide you toward people and spaces that fit who you really are now. We're here rooting in together, one friendship, one breath, one honest yes and no at a time. Until next time on Rooted Insights.